How's it going, team? Welcome to the first ever Props by the Fireplace with Caveman and Seppo, coming to you from the Caveman Bets YouTube channel. Now, we're here to break down props for every game on the early window of NFL Week 13. Now, guys, we've got tons of content coming out right now, so make sure to subscribe to the channel, give the video a like, hit that notification bell so you know whenever we're going live or whenever we're posting content. And if you like anything, if you don't like anything, if you've got something to say yourself, throw it down in the comments, guys. I want to see it down below. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. I want to see what you're on. So let's get straight into this. Kicking it off for the early window, we've got the Vikings at the Lions. And I've got one I absolutely love here. I'm going to take Alexander Mattison over 77.5 rush yards. Now, 2 games starting he's had so far this season. Both of those he's gone over 110 yards rushing.
No.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely the numbers are there for him. One of those games was against Detroit. So he's already gone over 110 yards rushing against Detroit. Detroit has one of the absolute worst rushing defenses in the NFL. They give up 100, 105, 110 yards frequently to opposing teams on the ground. They're absolutely atrocious. Now, the Detroit averages giving up over 31 rushing attempts per game as well, which is mental. You could definitely see Alexander Mattison getting 25, 27 potentially if the Vikings are up big in this game. The Vikings are averaging 4.4 yards rushing attempt and 4.2 against for Detroit. So by those averages, Mattison only needs 18 to hit this mark, and he's going to have another 7 to 10 to get this done. So it's a great wee one here for Alexander Mattison. Now, anything you like in this one, Seppo?
I love Jamal Williams over 3.5 combined. Just like the Lions are usually been doing, they want to keep it close. They're not going to air Goff out early and often. They're going to try to protect this. No DeAndre Swift. Don't really like any of the other Lions options on offense, to be honest. They're going to try and keep this tight. Figure that the Vikings aren't going to get too exotic with their playbook. I know it's a division matchup, but against a winless team, Vikings probably going to keep it pretty tight. Maybe a little bit Jefferson, but Jefferson numbers may be high for me. Thielen up and down. One of the other matchups I do like is Josh Reynolds over 39.5. I don't think he's going to catch 8 passes or anything like that, but he should be able to get a few run after the catches against a somewhat suspect Minnesota secondary as far as the depth is concerned, especially.
Absolutely. If I was to lean anything else this game, like you said, Jamal Williams, I like him here. I especially like the over 20.5 receiving yards with DeAndre Swift out there. He should have quite a nice role in that first and second down running back option where they do like to pass the ball, even though they have been predominantly running recently. And I don't mind an Adam Thielen touchdown. Now, Thielen scored in 5 of his last 6 matches, 8 out of 11 matches on the season, and he's tied for first place with 10 receiving touchdowns this year. So really nice stats there for Adam Thielen, going way under the radar, but having a nice little productive season.
Oh, definitely. It's actually hurt me a little bit that Jefferson hasn't been getting those touchdowns, but Jefferson's been getting the yards, and it's a bit high for me. Just wanted to add on to the Madison point. I think that's a really, really good bet, and the main focus on for this specific game is the attempts. I don't know if he's actually going to be able to get 4.5 yard carry, but I don't think it's going to matter. He's going to get that ball plus 20. Easy. CJ Ham has just been on fire lately. I don't think Alvin Cook is playing incredible. I think he's playing good football. But Madison, I think, has improved his game this year compared to last year and should be near lock to get that number.
Absolutely. And now our next game up here, we have the Cardinals at the Bears. Now, I found it a bit difficult to find a good prop that I really liked in this one. So I went a bit out of my traditional kind of thinking, and I came up with a cracker. I'm going to go on the first quarter spread, -2.5 for the Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals lead the league in first quarter points, averaging 6.6 points per game in the first quarter, and a massive 8.7 points per game in the first quarter for away games. The Bears average only 2.5 points per first quarter and have scored only 3 points in the first quarter of their last 5 matches combined. So Bears, a team starts really slow. Cardinals start really fast. A 3-0 at the end of the first quarter gets this done. I think getting under a field goal on this line is just incredible, and it's too good to pass up.
It really is. And with this bet, would you really like to be betting against Matt Nagy and for Cliff Kingsbury? Every single time you do that, he scripted plays early on where Nagy is just showing how out of depth he is in this league. No matter who the quarterback is, he cannot actually script a good plan. It's really when the Bears actually do anything on offense, it's usually mid-second quarter, usually after halftime, where Nagy then can adjust to what they're taking away and then kind of get the ball rolling. I don't think the Bears going to do much on offense anyway, so I think this is a great bet. It's really hoping there's no shenanigans that the Cardinals turn the ball over early in their own territory, etc. But pretty low chance of that. I think this is, one of those 85% probability ones.
Absolutely. Anything you like here?
Just some against stuff. Nothing I love, but Andy Dalton over 10.5 rushing yards. I really think he's going to be running for his life. And I don't think you're going to have to worry about him ruining it with kneel downs late. That's just the worst thing. And the Bears are not winning this game. Mooney has been playing really well, so 60.5 yards over, pretty good. I think he gets 4 for 80, maybe catches 2 bombs, but Dalton's just not going to complete as many passes as needed to get first receptions, I don't think.
Absolutely. Moving it on to the next game, we have the Buccaneers at Atlanta, and I've got a bet I make every single week of the season, and I'm up for the year. It's one of those ones that I worked it out at the start of the year and thought, right, if I take this every week of the year, at the end of the season, I've got a very, very high shot of being up. And the odds actually have gone up over the last few weeks, which is even better. And it's Mike Evans to score a touchdown. Now, Evans has scored in 4 of his last 5 games and remains one of the most heavily targeted receivers in the red zone for Tampa Bay. Evans leads the league joint with Adam Thielen and Cooper Kupp, I think it is, as well, with 10 receiving touchdowns. And he scored 2 touchdowns in the first meeting with the Falcons. Falcons have given up the 3rd most touchdowns to opposing wide receivers. So for me, it's an absolute no-brainer with Antonio Brown out. Falcons have also been on the stronger side against tight ends, so that should help to nullify the effect of Rob Gronkowski a wee bit. And I mean, who can match up with Mike Evans on the outside? Because AJ Terrell definitely can't. I think this is just an absolute smash spot on Mike Evans this week.
Oh, definitely. These numbers should be flip-flopped. It should be Evans at 68.5 with Godwin at 60.5, and instead it's the other way around. So that's a good play as well. Really looking to double up on Evans with that touchdown. The touchdown's a better bet than the yards for me. Some other things that I like, as you said, Falcons really good against tight ends. So I would never go against the Gronk yardage, but under 4.5 receptions, I don't think they're going to be targeting him that much. When they do, they'll probably make the reception because, Brady's going to force that ball to his favorite players. As well, I like Cordero Patterson combined 73.5. I don't really obviously like him receiving the ball too much in a actual throwing the ball forward sense against these Bucs linebackers. But, that sweepstakes that count as forward passes, he might get a few of those. So combined into the rush.
Absolutely. I was definitely looking down the Cordero Patterson route. I thought it looked like a great play. I think the number was just a little bit inflated for me to be able to get to the mark on it. And I definitely couldn't take the under because we all know what Patterson can do in one play. So it was just a slight fade on my behalf, but that's simply just because I found the number too high. But you are right. If you're going to play it, you have to play the rush plus receiving. There's no point in playing one without the other because through the season, it's a 50-50 shot to be whether he's getting the rushing yards or the receiving yards. Recently, he's been getting the rushing yards more, but obviously this is Tampa Bay's rush defense. Although they haven't been as strong recently, they have given up a few chunk plays recently, but I still wouldn't be taking someone's rushing yards over against this side. I do just need to double check Vita Vea, but I believe he should be healthy again. And if he isn't, you couldn't take just the rushing. So I think the total is definitely the way to go on this. Like you say, Mike Evans, he would be a lean on the over 58.5 receiving yards for me. 7 out of 11 games this season, he's gone over. And I believe it was about 71, 72 yards receiving he got in the first meeting against the Falcons. So yeah, a lean on that. But like I say, I'd rather take the touchdown here. Next game up, we have the Colts at the Texans. And here is my square play of the week because every single person is going to be on this. But the thing is, there's no reason not to be. And that's Jonathan Taylor over 105.5 rushing yards. Now, it's a big number, but the Texans have given up the second most rushing yards in the league, including 145 yards on the ground to Taylor in the first meeting this season. Taylor's gone over this total in 5 of his previous 7 matches, which were all victories. The 2 that he went under this total were losses. If you think the Texans are going to win this game, maybe gambling's not your strong suit. Or, hey, maybe you know something that we don't, but chances are in a sure, say what you want about the spread, but in a heads-up situation, I wouldn't really be putting anything on the Texans here. Not even at a high number, it's not too much value. That team is not good, especially with David Mills looking like he's going to be under center again. But we're, but yeah, look, it's a square play, but it's a great matchup. He is in terrific form. What I would really have been interested in is if Derrick Henry could have stayed healthy to see how the comparisons would have been going with a healthy Derrick Henry and a healthy Jonathan Taylor. Because sure, Henry had that advantage from what he did at the start of the season. There was no way he was going to keep that rate going. So this could have come into a really, really cracking competition towards the end of the season. And we may have had 2 runners go over 2,000 yards. Well, we've got the extra game, so there's a good chance that we could have had 2 runners go over 2,000 yards. But yeah, Jonathan Taylor over 105 square, whatever, I'm still on it.
That is the only bet for this game. This is one of the worst games probably of the entire NFL season, especially gambling-wise, because, Tyrod Taylor can do some things on offense. He can have a somewhat functional offense at times, whereas David Mills is just so bad, but his numbers are so low. You don't really want to go too many unders, because, Cooks could still go over, and they don't really give you much other players on the Texans. I mean, imagine watching this game and hoping the Texans move the ball and you get your yards overs. You can't do it. But then the numbers are so low. Yeah, this is stay away other than Taylor over.
Absolutely. I do have one other lean here, and it's Carson Wentz under 238.5 passing yards. Now, Wentz has gone under this mark in 7 of his last 10 matches and in 5 of the Colts' 6 wins this season. There's a correlation as well here. So the Colts winning, Jonathan Taylor going over, and Wentz going under. So a big correlation there. If you're looking to play a parlay, a same game multi on this one, I think that is a really, really good value going for those three because they correlate really nicely. And the odds are quite nice on that as well. You're getting about 450, and that's an unshopped line as well.
That's awesome. It's a shame that Taylor PV is so low at $1.33 that, not much value there adding to it. If you really want to go for it.
Yeah, I tried adding the Taylor touchdown into that as well, and I think it gave me about another 30 cents. So I thought, yeah, not worth the risk here. Not worth the risk. Let's move it on to what a game, said no one at all. The Eagles at the Jets, and I struggled to find something I liked here. I've really been liking what Elijah Moore's been doing recently, but his numbers inflated this week, so I couldn't get there. I've been on the Jalen Hurts train 5 games in a row, I believe it is. He has hit over his rushing yards and under his passing yards, which has been a great correlation bet. So that one's been great, but we don't know if Hurts is going to play this week, so you can't go there. And if he does play, maybe his over rushing isn't the best this week. So I've gone for a guy who I never, ever thought I was going to be betting on, but the numbers say it's a play, so this is what I'm going with. Ryan Griffin, over 18.5 receiving yards. Now, thank God this number's low because I probably couldn't get to it if it was 20 or more. But Griffin has passed this mark in his last 4 starts since he's started to get introduced into the passing offense a wee bit more. And he comes up against the Eagles, who have allowed the most yards to opposing tight ends this season. So a really nice matchup for him. He might only catch 1 to 3 passes. So that's the only concern here. But he has been taking his receptions for about 10 to 20 yards each. So 2, I would say he should easily get it. 1, and it could easily be 20 yards up the seam. No worries at all, especially against who are the Eagles linebackers? God, I honestly couldn't even name them.
It's not Hendricks anymore.
I couldn't even name them off the top of my head without having to look that one up. And well, the stats as well say they have been horrendous. So yeah, I would look for Ryan Griffin over 18.5. God, please tell me you've got something better.
No, I am very much similar, but for the same reasons as you. I've got Ty Johnson over 14.5 reception yards. I think this is going to be the Eagles' defense, knowing that Wilson's going to want to go deep. He's going to want to push the ball. They play that goal too high shell. They might even go cover 3 quarters quite a bit. Force Wilson to check the ball down and play slow, play conservative. And there's a good chance that Wilson, the second time around, will be starter with football. Another bet that I like, and this kind of goes along with Jalen Hurts. If Hurts is actually out, I don't like Miles Sanders. I want under 65.5. I don't think that Eagles' run offense is very good without Hurts. I think it's mainly the threat of Hurts that opens up, Boston and Sanders and Scott. And Gainwell. So wait on it, but then Sanders under 65.5. This Jets front 7 is actually not terrible. It's really their back end that was shredded some weeks. Other weeks, Jets defense is not really that horrific. It's just some weeks, matchup wise, you can really pass all over the team.
Yeah, no, I agree there. I mean, Gardner Minshew, he's been decent at handing the ball off. I'll give him that. You can do the basics well. I wouldn't trust him to throw the ball. I think he had that. Well, he did have that exceptionally great game week 1 of last season where I think he went, was it 21 of 24? Or it's something ridiculous to get a week one win over the Colts. Incredible stuff there. Well, that was their only win of the year, but hey, they got a win over a playoff team, which was incredible, which actually just goes to show how random week one can be in the NFL. And just for a future note, for those that are following us here, week one is a great week to bet on the dogs, and not just bet them to cover the spread, just bet them straight up, because if you bet every dog week one, most likely you're going to come out ahead for the week. Uh, but that's a bit of a side note. Let's get back onto this. And one of my absolute favorite games of the week, Chargers at the Bengals. Now, not just a favorite game to bet on, but really, really keen to watch this game. The Burrow versus Herbert competition, I think that's going to be terrific. I've got both of these teams as there or thereabouts this season, but next year, I think these guys can be contenders. If they draft well and hit free agency well, both of these teams have got the building blocks to really do well and get far next year, definitely the year after anyway. But Joe Mixon, anytime touchdown. Now, Mixon scored in his last 8 matches straight, and he doesn't look like slowing down one bit. This week, he gets the terrible Chargers rush defense. Chargers have given up a rushing touchdown in their last 7 matches. Look, Mixon's on fire right now, especially in the red zone. He's the one that's getting all those red zone carries. Samaje Perine, I think he gets used for 2 carries or 3 carries at the end of the fourth quarter in most games just to give him a run on the field. But this is all Mixon, absolutely all Mixon. If Perine's in there on first, second, or the third quarter, it's a passing play. Like they're not handing the ball off. Mixon's getting everything. Another one that I don't mind here as well is the 2+ touchdowns. I mean, 1 touchdown, that's great too. He's hit in the last 3 straight. I was on that last week, and that cashed hard at plus 400. That was a great bet for us. But yeah, Joe Mixon on fire. Terrible Chargers defense. What more can you say?
Why is this not paying, 3 something instead of mid 4s? I have no idea. This is like a match made in heaven for the 2 touchdowns. Burrow, they don't really trust in the red zone yet. They're great with him between the 20s. They love him throwing deep. Bengals are going to get red zone opportunities, and Mixon is, I would actually say, the best finisher in the league at the moment. He has that speed, that power, that vision. He can leap. He can really dive for that pylon if he needs to get to the outside. Once again, the Bengals are more about those deep and mid shots. Higgins hasn't really done much in the red zone. Chase being a rookie, it's hard for rookies down near the red zone. That's why you see all these, veterans that are 5+ years currently leading the league in touchdowns. So love me some Mixon. And similarly, CJ Uzama, I've been on him pretty much all year. This number's way too low at 20.5. That's 1 reception for him usually. Sometimes he can get 2 or 3, but I'm thinking, 2 for 40 for Uzama.
Yeah, perfect. Uzama's been very underrated this season, although let's be honest, he does have games where he goes well, and then he has games where he goes missing. So that's one of the reasons why his numbers kept so low. He's one of those guys, he's generally quite a nice DFS play because you get him for a really cheap price, and he either gets over his yards and scores touchdowns, or he just doesn't do anything, and that slate's cooked anyway. So, yeah, really good play there. If I was to take another lean, it would be on the Joe Mixon over 95.5 rushing yards. Now, obviously, the Bengals have found their rushing attack recently, and they are looking very elite as a run-first team. and Mixon has passed this total in his last 2 games, obviously facing the worst rushing defense in the league in the Chargers. Only thing I do have to say is I prefer the touchdowns. I'll just take the touchdowns over the yards. There's so many great plays in this match. I think this is just a great, terrific betting match. I know I'm going to have probably 2, 3, maybe 4 singles on this game and a parlay or the same game parlay or 2 as well, because there's a couple of options here that just line up perfectly.
Agreed. This is going to be a great game. This is going to be the second best game of the week for me, I think. I've also got Mike Williams over 53.5. I think the Bengals are going to try and shut down Keenan Allen. I don't think they're going to be able to because he's been, on fire recently. But I do think Mike Williams is going to finally start catching some of those deep shots that he caught early in the season, mid-season, and didn't really line up for him too well. But I think end of the year, he's going to come back in strong.
Absolutely. And our last game on the early window here, we have the Giants versus the Dolphins. I'm going to be honest, I'm not that excited for this game. The Dolphins are on a win streak, and I don't know why. I don't think this team is that good. Say what you like about Tua, but this defense is not great. The offensive line kind of overperformed a bit last season, and they're showing where they should be. Myles Gaskin is probably the worst starting running back in the league, I would say. But Jalen Waddle, the rookie wide receiver, he's having a cracking season, and he's really started to come out over the last 6 or 7 weeks. He's gone over his receiving mark in 5 of his last 7 matches, and he's only gone under 60 against the Bills, which, pretty good defense on the Bills right now. The Giants have surrendered 70 plus receiving yards to the opponent's top receiving option in 10 out of 11 matches this season. The only one where it didn't happen was last week up against the Eagles, who had 0 offense through the air. So, yeah, Jalen Waddle, for me, I think is a terrific play this week.
I think that's one that, as long as he's actually in the game the entire game, this is a 92% play. This is going to happen. Tua has been targeting him like mad. Tua himself is trying to play better. Not that I would go near his totals at all. You cannot bet Tua. That's just ridiculous. But Waddle is getting to the point where he could be talked about as a top 10 receiver next year. I thought this was terrible to take at the time, but definitely proven wrong. I also like Saquon Barkley receiving over 23.5. I think Glennon's going to be checking the ball down now that he doesn't probably have his man Tooney. I don't think Galladay and Ingram are going to be really the guys he's going to be targeting. It's going to be some check downs and hoping to keep a terrible game close.
Absolutely, I agree. I don't mind Barkley in this game at all. The only one with I was looking at his rushing yards. The Dolphins having that very, very average rush defense. The only reason I couldn't get to it is he just hasn't shown us anything on the ground this season. He's had 1 or 2 chunk plays where it's gone, oh, wow, that's what Saquon Barkley does. And he's followed it up with 1 to 3 yard carries for the rest of the match. So, yeah, I was looking more at his rushing, but yeah, his receiving is probably the way to go, especially in a game script that you would predict the Giants to be behind, especially with Glennon and being at home with the Dolphins. I'd say the slightly stronger team here, but still, it's going to be a tough ask for me between the Giants and the Dolphins and the Eagles and the Jets for which game I really don't want to have to do film study for at all come Tuesday here when I have to go through every one of these games. I'm not looking forward to either of them. Maybe I just do them both first and get them out of the way because, not looking the best on
This
these.
is exactly what I do. Yeah, I is out of the way early. There are a few four-letter words in my notebook when I'm actually writing notes on these. Might write a poem or two. Haikus especially. They're not very good, but par for the course when you're watching these games. You're not actually going to be talented or creative. It's kind of hoping it ends and you can get through it.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So that was props by the Fireplace on the Caveman Bets YouTube channel here. Caveman and Seppo breaking down our favorite props for each game on the early slate of matches for NFL Week 13. Guys, please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you know exactly when our content's dropping. We've got videos coming out every day. Looks like we're going to be having a break on Sundays, but 6 days a week we will have videos coming out. So definitely make sure to hit that notification bell so you know when those videos get uploaded. We've got tons and tons of not just the NFL, we've got some college football stuff out there. We're looking into the UFC, EPL, NBA. There's just tons of stuff going. So yeah, make sure to like the video, subscribe, hit that bell, drop some comments down below. Let us see what you like. If you don't like us, if you don't like any of our picks, if you don't like the Fireplace, hey, let us know. Maybe I can try and find something that's a little better than the generic Zoom Fireplace. But thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next week with our results. Cheers, guys.